connected to iPhone.
You're listening to an Acid Rain official fix, bitch.
Homer, you can't let that experience scare you away from drugs.
But isn't marijuana or dope illegal?
Only for those who enjoy it. Medical use of marijuana is legal in this state. We'll also provide you with a prescription bond.
So what's up with this Syria shit, yo? We going to war, man, with Russia. It's about to be the start of World War III or what? Or did Russia and the Russian Parliament and the U.S. government sit down to plan this shit out? Trying to find somebody to listen to about this shit, but I don't even really know who to listen to. Honestly tired of listening to a lot of the same people when it comes to like hot topics like this. But this shit is getting pretty fucking crazy. I talked to a couple of guys I know who are active military, and they're like, bro, you probably about to go to war. I mean, as if the war ever ended. It's just, I don't know. This is still a continuation from fucking Operation Freedom Iraq, yo. My homeboy wrote about this shit in his book years ago. The Road to Damascus. The Anglo-Saxon American agenda to destabilize the Middle East. And it wasn't just Iraq and Iran. They had their targets on, man. Lebanon, Syria, everything over there. They want all that shit. Why is troubleshooting? Oh, hell, my laptop got a virus. And they're war criminals. I don't know, man. That whole gas thing, that shit is. I don't even know if that shit is true, because people speculating that there was no fucking gas attack. Mm-hmm. What the fuck is wrong with my computer, yo? Oh my god. But everybody knows that. Once, fucking Muammar Gaddafi dropped the dollar, they killed his ass. Assad dropped the dollar, they go after his ass. Motherfucking, well, what you call it? Stop using the dollar. That's all it is, yo. No central banks, no Rothschilds can get up in there and get their grubby little hands on all the fucking resources and shit and spit out that fiat currency. Gotta take it over. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand why the fuck we're even bombing these motherfuckers, yo. That central bank shit is fucking key, though. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to my go to my homie Facebook page.
In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. I wish to warmly welcome the Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, and I give him the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies, I have been following closely the reports of airstrikes in Syria conducted by the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. Last night, at 22 hours of New York, the US President announced the beginning of airstrikes with participation by France and the UK, indicating they were targeting the chemical weapons capabilities of the Syrian government and to deter their future use. His statement was followed by announcements from Prime Minister May and President Macron. The airstrikes were reportedly limited to 3 military locations inside Syria. The first target included the Syrian Scientific Studies and Research Center at Al-Mazah Airport in Damascus. The second, an alleged chemical weapons storage facility west of Homs. And the third, an alleged chemical weapons equipment storage site and command post also near Homs. Syrian government announced surface-to-air missile response activity. Both US and Russian sources indicated there were no civilian casualties. The UN is, however, unable to independently verify the details of all these reports. Mr. President, as Secretary General of the United Nations, it is my duty to remind member states that there is an obligation, particularly when dealing with matters of peace and security, to act consistently with the Charter of the United Nations and with international law in general. The UN Charter is very clear on these issues. Mr. President, the Security Council has primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security. I call on the members of the Security Council to unite and exercise that responsibility. And I urge all members to show restraint in these dangerous circumstances and to avoid any acts that could escalate matters and worsening the suffering of the Syrian people. As I did yesterday, I stressed the need to avoid the situation from spiraling out of control. Mr. President, any use of chemical weapons is abhorrent. The suffering it causes is horrendous. I have repeatedly expressed my deep disappointment that the Security Council failed to agree on a dedicated mechanism for effective accountability for the use of chemical weapons in Syria. I urge the Security Council to assume its responsibilities and fill this gap. And I will continue to engage with member states to help achieve this objective. A lack of accountability emboldens those who use such weapons by providing them with the reassurance of impunity. And this in turn further weakens the norm proscribing the use of chemical weapons and the international disarmament and non-proliferation architecture as a whole. Mr. President, the seriousness of the recent allegations of the use of chemical weapons in Douma requires a thorough investigation using impartial, independent and professional expertise. I reaffirm my full support for the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the OPCW, and its fact-finding mission in undertaking the required investigation. The team is already in Syria. I am informed that their operations plan to visit the site is completed and that they are ready to go. I am confident they will have full access without any restrictions or impediments to perform their activities. Mr. President, allow me to repeat what I said yesterday. Syria today represents the most serious threat to international peace and security. In Syria, we see confrontations and proxy wars involving several national armies, a number of armed opposition groups, many national and international militia, foreign fighters from everywhere in the world, and various terrorist organizations. From the beginning, we have witnessed systematic violations of international humanitarian law, international human rights law, and international law tout court in utter disregard of the letter and spirit of the United Nations Charter. For 8 long years, the people of Syria have endured suffering upon suffering. Syrians have lived through a litany of horrors, atrocity crimes, sieges, starvation, indiscriminate attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructure, the use of chemical weapons, forced displacement, sexual violence, torture, detention, and enforced disappearances. The list goes on. At this critical juncture, I call on all members to act consistently with the Charter of the United Nations and the international law, including the norms against chemical weapons. If the law is ignored, it is undermined. There is no military solution to the crisis. The solution must be political. We must find ways to make credible progress towards a genuine and credible political solution that meet the aspirations of the Syrian people to dignity and freedom in accordance with Resolution 2254 and the Geneva Communique. I've asked my special envoy to come to New York as soon as possible to consult with me on the most effective way to accelerate the political process. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the Secretary General for his valuable briefing. I will now give the floor to those council members who wish to make statements. I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, sir. Russia called for this urgent meeting of the Security Council to discuss the aggressive actions of the United States and their allies against Syria. This is the 5th meeting on this topic just this week. The President of the Russian Federation, Putin, made a special statement today, and I will quote him. On the 14th of April, the United States, supported by its ally, launched an airstrike against military and civilian targets of the Syrian Arab Republic. Without a mandate from the United Nations Security Council, and in violations of UN Charter and norms and principles of international law, an aggression against a sovereign state was carried out, which is on the front line in the fight against terrorism. Just as 1 year ago, when the Shara air base in Syria came under attack, the United States used as a pretext a staged chemical attack against civilians. This time in Duma, Damascus suburb. Now, Russian military experts did not find any traces of chlorine or any other toxic agents when they visited the site. Not a single local resident was able to confirm that a chemical attack had actually taken place. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons dispatched its experts to Syria in order to investigate all the circumstances. However, in a sign of cynical disdain, a group of Western countries decided to take military action without waiting for the results of the investigation. Russia condemns in the strongest possible terms the attack against Syria, where Russian military personnel are assisting the legitimate government in its counterterrorism efforts. Through its actions, the United States makes an already catastrophic humanitarian situation in Syria even worse and brings suffering to civilians. In fact, the U.S. panders to the terrorists who have been tormenting the Syrian people for 7 years, leading to a wave of refugees fleeing this country and the region. The current escalation around Syria is destructive for the entire system of international relations. History will deliver its verdict, and Washington already bears a heavy responsibility for the bloody outrage in Yugoslavia, Iraq, and Libya. End of quote. Russia has done everything possible to convince the United States and its allies to refrain from their military plans, which could lead to a new spiral of violence in Syria and destabilize the Middle East. The Secretary General of the UN, at the meeting of the Security Council that we convened yesterday and today, has expressed his concern about the way events have developed. However, in Washington, London, and Paris, preferred to disregard appeals to common sense. The United States and its allies continue to demonstrate blatant disregard for international law. Although as permanent members of the Security Council, they must be especially firm in protecting the provisions of the UN Charter. It was shameful to hear how, in justifying the aggression, an article of the U.S. Constitution was mentioned. Now we have the greatest respect to the right of each state to respect their own founding law. However, Washington should learn, it's time for Washington to learn that the International Code of Behavior regarding the use of force is regulated by the United Nations Charter. It's interesting how the people of Great Britain and France, what they will think that when they find out that their government is taking part in an illegal military adventure by referring to the American Constitution. You're constantly tempted by neocolonialism. You have nothing but disdain for the UN Charter and the Security Council, which you are unjustifiably trying to use for your illicit aims. There's no serious work that you're doing in the Security Council. You don't consult us, and you mendaciously claim otherwise. You undermine the authority of the Security Council. As a pretext for aggression, you mention the alleged use of chemical weapons in the Syrian city of Duma. Representatives of Russia, after an inspection by our experts, unequivocally stated that no such incident took place. Furthermore, there were people found who took part in this staging And in fact, the inspirers and organizers of that staging were foreign intelligence services. After this event, the Syrian authorities immediately invited experts from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons so that they conduct a field mission to Duma in order to establish the facts. Quickly, visa formalities were resolved and guarantees of security were provided. At the time the strikes were conducted, experts were already in Syria and getting ready to begin their work. I want to recall to the members of the Security Council and everyone else that on the 10th of April, when our draft resolution on the secure work of the special mission of the OPCW was blocked, we were assured of the fact that such a document was not necessary. We were told that the mission, without any additional efforts by the Security Council, will go visit the site and conduct an investigation of the chemical incident. Now it's clear that we were absolutely right. Yesterday, some of our colleagues, some of them naively, some of them cynically, told us that the reason of the situation is supposedly a lack of an independent investigative mechanism. The aggression has shown that that isn't not the issue at all.
Bro, and that's what I've been saying for like over a year. Once you start realizing that these countries are trying to get off the petrodollar, and the world runs on fucking petro. It's like China's trying to do it with the yuan. I say everybody tried to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Saddam said, give me gold. I don't want your debt currency. That shit is debt. I don't want that shit. Give me gold. Oh, he's dead. You know what I'm saying? Like Muammar, y'all want our resources? Give me gold. You know what I'm saying? We got the dinar. What y'all got? He dead. You know what I'm saying? If these and that's where all the oil is at. The Middle East. They gotta destabilize this shit. Run everybody the fuck up out of there. Bomb that shit to the fucking ground. Get their corporate cronies to go in there, rebuild this shit. Pipelines. Because we're at the end of the fossil fuel age. We see that. We're right on the cusp of like a real space age that could have happened 100 years ago if we listened to Tesla. You know what I'm saying? But we're almost there now. And people are realizing that, you know, burning fossil fuels is not the way to go. We're going to change our energy sources. And so the motherfuckers want to control BP, Shell, and all these motherfuckers want to control all this shit until the end, until it all runs out. Exactly, yo, and that's the partnerships. But America fucks up all their partnerships. When we had the business with the oil tycoons, we fucked that shit up. You know what I'm saying? Because we put everybody on the dollar standard. You want to trade oil, it gotta be in the dollar, and that's one of the main things that's holding our economy up right now. And if major countries start making oil deals amongst themselves in a different currency, and it leaves the dollar out of the fucking loop. And we're already so many trillions of dollars in debt with fucking China. India owns some of our debt and shit. Like, we're really fucked up as a country. All we have is our military, yo. That's all we have, yo. And that's what it is, you know, after World War II, America was it. You know, America the shit. We the shit now. You know what I'm saying? We invested we kept investing all our money into our military to maintain that authority, and we let, you know, major other aspects of our culture and our nation just slide under, and now like that's all we really stand on is military might. Other than that, like if what else what the fuck do we have? And you know what I'm saying, and that helps our economy. You know, the war machine, you know, boosts up our fucking economy. And if there was no war, or if there was another dominant superpower that was always called upon when, you know, these little terrorist cells and all this shit really do need regulating and kept America out the loop, man, we wouldn't have shit, man. Exactly, bro. And that's what happened to, the USSR and all that shit, yo. Because they was strong. Motherfuckers just lost. If America get into this shit, man, and lose that shit, if these if these motherfuckers strike this country, yo, we're not prepared for that shit at all. Well, I ain't gonna say that, because we got the Star Wars program. I'm pretty sure they got fucking very capable space beams that could probably shoot down some shit, or if not in space, on their fucking. I seen one carrier that was testing the laser system, and it's functional. It's like, it's silent. You don't see nothing, you don't hear nothing, but that shit locks on the missiles and shoots that shit out the fucking sky, yo. So, I mean, we got the tech to defend ourselves, but still, you got China, Russia, and Germany going against Great Britain, France, and America. Come on, man. This shit is gonna be fucking stupid. I'm just hoping. I see somebody make a post. It was like, yo, I wanted to see what the name of that new Avengers movie? Something War. Because I wanted to see that shit in theaters, not in real life. But motherfuckers not scared no more. You know what I'm saying? America scared the whole fucking world with that fucking Hiroshima and Nagasaki shit. Scared everybody. Like, yeah, bitch, we'll do it. Test us. But ever since then, like, other countries is not playing that shit. Like, you fuck with that shit if you want to. And everybody gonna die. Yep. It might be. But I don't know, bro. You got a bug out bag? You got supplies and shit? Because shit gonna hit the fans, I'm telling you. I might move to motherfucking Finland, Iceland, or somewhere. Sweden. Move to a country that don't fuck with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Even Canada make fun of us all the fucking time. It's like, it's fucking stupid.
Stated. During last year's attack against the Shayrat Air Base, there was the joint investigative mechanism of the UN OPCW that did not prevent the United States from conducting a missile strike. Afterwards, the JIM, in fact, made sure that its conclusions coincided with the reasons for the American strike. We have said many times, you don't need any investigations. You didn't need them then, and you don't need them today. The organizers of the aggression didn't even wait for the elementary establishment of facts by an international organization which is authorized to do that. They supposedly determine everything for themselves and determine who was guilty. After, given that they themselves, with the fighters that were under their control and NGOs that they control, they disseminated all kinds of rumors using social media. They confirmed this through so-called secret intelligence, mythical secret intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, the masks, or rather white helmets, have once again fallen. We are already used to the fact that when they conduct their doubtful geopolitical policies, the countries that are aggressors already blame the regime of Assad. Lately, they tend to shift responsibility.
He's doing pretty good, I guess, because I can't speak another language fluently. But damn, they should have got a different translator, man. Come on, bruh. This motherfucker sound like his armpit. Sound like his armpit sweating trying to fucking translate that shit. I'm nervous. I'm nervous, motherfucker. Everybody's watching me. My Russian is kind of rusty. I've been speaking Italian for 2 weeks.
On Russia, which, according to their interpretation, cannot control the dictator. All this is based on a scheme that is that has been well tried. There's a provocation. There's mendacious accusations, verdict, and punishment. This is how you want international affairs to be conducted now? This is hooliganism in international relations, and not minor hooliganism, given that we're talking about major nuclear powers. Several strikes were conducted against the Scientific Research Center in Barza and Jamraya. Recently, 2 inspections by the OPCW were conducted with unimpeded access to all facilities. Experts didn't find any traces of activity that would contravene the Chemical Weapons Convention. The scientific facilities in Syria are used only for peaceful activity, which is aimed at enhancing the effectiveness of economic activity of Syria. You want Syria to have no economy at all? You want to throw this country back into the Stone Age? Just a few years ago, this country was one of the most developed countries in the Middle East. You want to finish off what your sanctions haven't achieved yet? At the same time, you're trying. You are shedding crocodile tears about the suffering of ordinary Syrians. Well, ordinary Syrians who are tired of war and who are happy that their legitimate authorities have freed their territory are not. You're not interested in their suffering. Your aggressive actions contribute to worsening the humanitarian situation, which you are so worried about, according to your statements. In 24 hours, you could stop the conflict in Syria. For this, Washington, London, and Paris only have to give orders to their hand-picked terrorists to stop their fighting against the legitimate authorities and against their own people. The strikes were conducted against Syrian military airfields, which are being used in the course of an operation against terrorist organizations. It's quite an original contribution to the combat against international terrorism, as Washington keeps repeating, which, as Washington keeps repeating, is the only goal of its military presence in Syria. We have serious doubts about that. It seems that it is clear that those who cover themselves with humanitarian...
Yo, this dude is talking cash shit, son. Yo, this dude is talking cash shit, yo. This shit ain't looking good for the Trump White House, yo.
Correct. Are trying to justify their action in Syria by supposedly to defeat the jihadists, are actually aiming at dividing, dismembering the country. This is confirmed by the fact that the United States...
Yeah.
We going on the fucking damn it, man. What the fuck? Is there nobody fucking here in this goddamn fucking world. See, now I'm fucking pissed right now. Syria fought Al-Qaeda, they fought ISIS, they fought it all. And now you got Mattis and fucking all these people shitting all over us. And the goddamn fucking liberal fascists censoring us everywhere the last 2 days. We did an emergency fucking 36-hour broadcast trying to stop this shit that could lead to World War III. And you fucking liberal pieces of fucking shit, you fucking assholes, fucking support this. Fuck you. You fucking goddamn degenerate fucks. And fucking Mueller and fucking Comey and fuck you. Every major analyst, see, I shouldn't even be on there right now. Every analyst agrees this could trigger World War III unlike anything in our history. And the Russians were the good guys battling ISIS and Al-Qaeda. I'm not a Russophile. I've never been to Russia. But I've studied the geopolitics. They are the white knights. And our military 5 years ago joining the Russians to block Obama and the Arab Spring and do the right thing, did the right thing. And now, Mattis looks like a fucking Emperor Palpatine. When that cocksucker knows full fucking well that Al-Qaeda and ISIS staged all those fucking chemical attacks.
Yo, but this is how bad it is.
On the goddamn motherfucking road. I shouldn't be on there right now. When the fuck are we going live? I can't do this shit anymore. Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. At a certain point, man, I'm sick of all these fucking liberals.
Yo, this is how confusing this dude is, yo. Like, bruh, when you on Trump dick super hard? You know what I'm saying? When you all over Trump dick? Trump was like a superhero. And now even Alex Jones like, fuck Trump. I was like, oh, come on, man. This dude is weird as shit. But that's how weird it is. Like, even got Alex Jones saying fuck Trump. Like, oh, shit. Something's about to go down. Oh, damn.
Has refused to take part in rebuilding the areas of Syria that have been freed from the jihadists. Lastly, your aggression is a major strike and threat against the possibility of continuing the political process under the UN auspices, which, in spite of objective difficulties, was moving forward at varying speeds. So, what were your constant references to the Geneva process worth if you yourselves, using your own actions, are destroying that process? We call on the United States and its allies to immediately end the aggressive actions against Syria and to refrain from them in the future. We are putting forward for your attention a brief draft resolution which we will demand a vote on at the end of this meeting. We would like to address the members of the Security Council. Today is not the time to shirk your responsibilities. The whole world is looking at you. Take a principled stand. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for your briefing today. This is our 5th Security Council meeting in the past week to address the situation in Syria.
Who this bitch is?
A week has gone by in which...
That's a White House representative? Oh, that's a given, bro. That's a given. Oh, I can't go back. But I posted a picture of the last 5 presidents all in a row, and they all got fighter jets flying over their heads, and it's like, you know, different presidents, same fucking war. It don't matter. It don't matter. If Hillary was in the office, same shit would have been going down. You know what I'm saying? Once again, yo, the war machine is all we have, and the fucking military-industrial complex and the shadow government is way stronger than the people in Congress and all that shit, man. They money gotta make this shit happen. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers with their bread push them buttons. Yeah, even better than Bush. Yeah. He's a fucking an idiot. He's an idiot, dude. He's a subtle genius.
We have talked. We've talked about the victims in Duma. We've talked about the Assad regime and its patrons, Russia and Iran. We've spent a week talking about the unique horror of chemical weapons. The time for talk ended last night. We're here today because 3 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council acted. The United Kingdom, France, and the United States acted, not as revenge, not as punishment, not as a symbolic show of force. We acted to deter the future use of chemical weapons by holding the Syrian regime responsible for its atrocities against humanity. We can all see that a Russian disinformation campaign is in full force this morning. But Russia's desperate attempts at deflection cannot change the facts. A large body of information indicates that the Syrian regime used chemical weapons in Duma on April 7th. There is clear information demonstrating Assad's culpability. The pictures of dead children were not fake news. They were the result of the Syrian regime's barbaric inhumanity.
How come 2 or 3 other people already spoke for like 15 minutes and nobody said fake news? but as soon as the American representative get in there, the pictures weren't fake. They were not fake news. Ain't nobody even brought up fake news. Oh my God, yo, we're so fucked, yo. We're so fucked.
And they were the result of the regime and Russia's failure to live up to their international commitments to remove all chemical weapons from Syria. The United States, France, and the United Kingdom acted after careful evaluation of these facts. The targets we selected were at the heart of the Syrian regime's illegal chemical weapons program. The strikes were carefully planned to minimize civilian casualties. The responses were justified, legitimate, and proportionate. The United States and its allies did everything we could to use the tools of diplomacy to get rid of Assad's arsenal of chemical weapons. We did not give diplomacy just one chance. We gave diplomacy chance after chance. 6 times. That's how many times Russia vetoed Security Council resolutions to address chemical weapons in Syria. Our efforts go back even further. In 2013, the Security Council passed a resolution that required the Assad regime to destroy its stockpile of chemical weapons. Syria committed to abide by the Chemical Weapons Convention, meaning it could no longer have chemical weapons on its soil. President Putin said Russia would guarantee that Syria complied. We hoped that this diplomacy would succeed in putting an end to the horror of chemical attacks in Syria. But as we see from the past year, that did not happen. While Russia was busy protecting the regime, Assad took notice. The regime knew it could act with impunity, and it did. In November, Russia used its veto to kill the Joint Investigative Mechanism, the main tool we had to figure out who used chemical weapons in Syria. Just as Russia was using its veto, the Assad regime used sarin, leading to dozens of injuries and deaths. Russia's veto was the green light for the Assad regime to use these most...
So we're going to bomb you and cause injury and death so you can learn that causing injury and death is wrong in your own country.
Barbaric weapons against the Syrian people. in complete violation of international law. The United States and our allies were not going to let that stand. Chemical weapons are a threat to us all. They are a unique threat, a type of weapon so evil that the international community agreed they must be banned. We cannot stand by and let Russia trash every international norm that we stand for and allow the use of chemical weapons to go unanswered. And just as the Syrian regime's use of chemical weapons last weekend was not an isolated incident, our response is part of a new course chartered last year to deter future use of chemical weapons. Our Syrian strategy has not changed. However, the Syrian regime has forced us to take action based on their repeated use of chemical weapons. Since the April 2017 chemical attack at Khan Sheikhoun, the United States has imposed hundreds of sanctions on individuals and entities involved in chemical weapons use in Syria and North Korea. We have designated entities in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa that have facilitated chemical weapons proliferation. We have revoked the visas of Russian intelligence officers in response to the chemical attack in Salisbury. We will continue to seek out and call out anyone who uses and anyone who aids in the use of chemical weapons. With yesterday's military action, our message was crystal clear. The United States of America will not allow the Assad regime to continue to use chemical weapons. Last night, we obliterated the major research facility that it used to assemble weapons of mass murder. I spoke to the president this morning, and he said if the Syrian regime uses this poisonous gas again, the United States is locked and loaded. When our president draws a red line, our president enforces the red line.
What the fuck? Locked and loaded draws a red line. This ain't no motherfucking Wild West shit. These motherfuckers is crazy. So what you saying is we struck y'all facility for making poison, but we ain't had no evidence. And if y'all do it again, we gonna fuck y'all up even worse. So I mean, the next time we probably won't have no evidence then either, but we just gonna fuck y'all up. Just so get ready for it, cause either way, if y'all making the shit or if y'all ain't making the shit, we gonna fuck y'all up. Oh man, my shit got a hole in it. Shit. That's fucking stupid, yo. The world is going mad. The world is going fucking mad. Holy shit, dude. And my tube of paint burst open. Now I got fucking paint all on my shit. Oh, you already know that. Motherfuckers gonna have their little bunkers and shit. They certain people ain't worried about it. I remember I used to watch that TV show Doomsday Preppers. Damn, I should have been doing that shit. I ain't no real prepper. All I do is we do have tons of fucking canned goods and extra shit, seeds, some guns and ammunition and shit like that. But I should have been digging me a fucking bunker somewhere. That's what a motherfucker need, yo. Buying up some acres of land in the mountains. Building some bunkers. Cause this shit is no fucking joke, yo.
The United States is deeply grateful to the United Kingdom and France for its part in the coalition to defend the prohibition of chemical weapons. We worked in lockstep. We were in complete agreement. Last night, our great friends and indispensable allies shouldered a burden that benefits all of us. The civilized world owes them its thanks. In the weeks and months to come, the Security Council should take time to reflect on its role in defending the international rule of law. The Security Council has failed in its duty to hold those who use chemical weapons to account. That failure is largely due to Russian obstruction. We call on Russia to take a hard look at the company it keeps and live up to its responsibilities as a permanent member of the Council and defend the actual principles the United Nations was meant to promote. Last night, we successfully hit the heart of Syria's chemical weapons enterprise. And because of these actions, we are confident we have crippled Syria's chemical weapons program. We are prepared to sustain this pressure if the Syrian regime is foolish enough to test our will. Thank you.
I want to thank the representative of the United States for your statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, these are uncertain times, and today we deal with exceptional circumstance. Acting with our American and French allies, in the early hours of this morning, the United Kingdom conducted coordinated, targeted, and precise strikes to degrade Assad's chemical weapons capability and deter their future use. The British Royal Air Force launched Storm Shadow missiles at a military facility some 15 miles west of Homs, where the regime is assessed to keep chemical weapons in breach of Syria's obligations under the Chemical Weapons Convention. A full assessment has not yet been completed, but we believe the strikes to be successful. Furthermore, none of the British, US, or French aircraft or missiles involved in this operation were successfully engaged by Syrian air defences, and there is also no indication that Russian air defence systems were employed. Our action was a limited, targeted, and effective strike. There were clear boundaries that expressly sought to avoid escalation, and we did everything possible, including rigorous planning before any action was undertaken, to ensure that we mitigated and minimise the impact on civilians. Our action will significantly degrade the Syrian regime's ability to research, develop and deploy chemical weapons and deter their future use. The UK Prime Minister has said, "We are clear about who is responsible for the atrocity of the use of chemical weapons. A significant body of information, including intelligence, indicates the Syrian regime is responsible for the attack we saw last Saturday. Some of the evidence that leads us to this conclusion is as follows. There are open source accounts alleging that a barrel bomb was used to deliver the chemicals. Multiple open source reports claim a regime helicopter was observed above the city of Douma on the evening of 7th of April. The opposition does not operate helicopters, nor does it use barrel bombs. And reliable intelligence indicates that Syrian military officials coordinated what appears to be the use of chlorine in Douma on 7th of April. Mr. President, no other group could have carried out this attack. Indeed, Daesh, for example, does not even have a presence in Douma. The Syrian regime has been killing its own people for 7 years. Its use of chemical weapons, which has exacerbated the human suffering, is a serious crime of international concern as a breach of the customary international law prohibition on the use of chemical weapons, and this amounts to a war crime and a crime against humanity. Any state is permitted under international law on an exceptional basis to take measures in order to alleviate overwhelming humanitarian suffering. The legal basis for the use of force for the United Kingdom is humanitarian intervention, which requires 3 conditions to be met. Number 1, that there is convincing evidence, generally accepted by the international community as a whole, of extreme humanitarian distress on a large scale, requiring immediate and urgent relief. I think the debates in this Council and the briefings we have had from OCHA and others have proved that. Secondly, it must be objectively clear that there is no practicable alternative to the use of force if lives are to be saved. I think the vetoes have shown us that. And thirdly, the proposed use of force must be necessary and proportionate to the aim of relief of humanitarian suffering and must be strictly limited in time and in scope to this aim. And I think we have heard, both in my intervention and in Ambassador Haley's, how that has also been met. The history of the Syrian conflict is a litany of threats to peace and violations of international law. The Security Council has met 113 times since the Syrian war started. It was therefore not for want of international diplomatic effort that...
Wait a minute, that was fucking Nikki Haley? Who was speaking for the U.S.? And that bitch was the governor of South Carolina, yo. I should have known. Damn. I should have known. Damn, they got Nikki Haley to go out there and say all that shit, yo. That's crazy.
Find ourselves in this position today. After a pattern of chemical weapons use since the outbreak of the conflict, Assad defied the international community in 2013 by launching a sarin gas attack on eastern Ghouta.
Well, they say they got 2 battleships out there in the Gulf, ain't it?
People dead. Despite the adoption of Resolution 2118, despite 4 years of patient engagement, Syria continues to use chemical weapons against its people and has failed to answer a long list of serious questions. The only conclusion we can reach...
Yeah, all right, before your conclusion, that's what I don't really understand. Why is Syria gassing their own people? Where's the benefit in that? You know what I'm saying? Where is the benefit in gassing your own people? That's what I'm telling you, bro. That shit about to pop off, yo. That shit is about to pop off. I went to an art show in New York a couple months ago, and one of my homies live in New York. I tried to get him to come hang out that night at the show and shit, but he said he couldn't because he had to go to some military training. I was like, damn. I started thinking about it. I was like, yo, what the fuck what y'all over there training for? He's like, I don't know, man. Something might be coming up. And then now this shit happened. But goddamn, I say, man, Russia got China on their side though, man. Shit. We living in some scary ass times, dude. I swear, shit is making me nervous. I don't know if I'm 1960s Cold War nervous, but I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy.
Syria had not declared or destroyed all of its chemical weapons despite its obligations under the Chemical Weapons Convention. This is not assertion on our part, but a matter of record. And I draw the Russian ambassador's attention to his points about Barzan.
Yeah, that's exactly
and
like what's the benefits? They keep saying Assad gassing his own people, Assad using chemical weapons against why? I don't understand this shit, yo. What's in it for me? You know what I'm saying? What's in it for me? If I kill my own people, then I'm gonna have motherfucking attempts, assassination attempts, a coups and all kind of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? My military might overthrow me from the inside. That's dumb as shit. Like, they use barrel bombs. Like, come on, man. I don't get it. That's why I ain't never understood this whole beef with Assad. Like, that shit ain't never made no sense to me, yo. Like, why? Why is y'all beef with? Because he killing his own people. I don't. They said what you call it was killing his own people and shit, but I don't get that shit. And then on top of that, man, like, that's them. Lead them. Yo, that's their own problem. Word, yo.
OPCW still has unanswered questions and discrepancies. He knows this. We all know this. The Council was briefed by the OPCW Director General. Resolution 2118 decides in the event of non-compliance to impose measures under Chapter 7 of the Charter. Yet on 28th of February last year, when the UK, together with France, proposed a resolution taking measures under Chapter 7 short of the use of force, Russia vetoed. The very least this Council should have been able to do, Mr. President, was to follow up on the findings of the Jim report by extending its mandate. Yet 4 times, Russia has vetoed different proposals from different Council members to do just that. The Syrian regime and its supporters are responsible for the gravest violations of international humanitarian law in modern history. They have used indiscriminate weapons, notably barrel bombs and cluster munitions, against civilians, and they have deliberately targeted medical facilities and schools, as well as humanitarian personnel and civilian objects.
Why?
They have used sieges and starvation as methods of warfare, accompanied by attacks on opposition-held civilian areas. The regime has persistently obstructed humanitarian aid and medical evacuations. Tens of thousands of people have been illegally detained, tortured, and executed by the regime. This is one of the most serious challenges to the international non-proliferation regime we have ever faced. A state party, we have repeated.
Bitch, y'all try to kill Edward Snowden for snitching on y'all. Come on, man. America. God damn, yo. It's so weird, yo. This is... And you know what? I really hate the fact that this is the only place I've ever lived. Like, this is the only thing I know is America. It's fucking sad, like... And that being said, I still got my my feelings about this place, yo. It's like, what the fuck? When this empire does finally fall, I mean, just the fucking... all the histories... It will hopefully be written the right way about this shit, yo. Alright. I made it for an hour. Exactly, and that's what everybody's saying. Everybody's making their stance. Like, America, you wrong. You know you wrong, and don't do it no more. And America's like, look, y'all wrong. Try us. Yeah, like you say, ain't nobody gonna want to back down, yo. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's really time for America to end its role as the world's superpower. Give that shit to somebody else. Let somebody else be the world police, yo. And let's rebuild up our fucking country from the inside, yo. Let's get our race relations back on track. Let's get our education back on track. Let's get our industry and manufacturing back on track, man. Let's start pushing our space program again and fucking do this solar panel shit for real. And that's it. All empires must fall. It's a fact, yo. That shit, I mean, but it keeps building upon itself, you know what I'm saying? First you had all the old empires that, you know, consolidated each other and got bigger and bigger until, you know, the last major war of the empires to end all fucking kingdoms and shit. And World War I, you know what I'm saying? After that shit, you had the League of Nations. So it's a conglomerate of countries trying to fucking control shit, but still having power struggles within themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then Germany wanted to emerge as the superpower, so everybody, you know, go back in World War II. Now you got the United Nations. But even in the UN and all this shit, you know, trying to keep world peace, there's struggle within the factions on the inside of that shit. Now it's gonna be this other war, and then the UN will break down, and some other shit will form out of that shit. You know what I'm saying? One world totalitarian. I can't even say it. Totalitarian dictatorship will emerge from that motherfucker. But everything gonna fall, yo. And the worst thing about it is, like, I mean, they been empires and kingdoms that last for thousands of years, yo. You know what I'm saying? Thousands of years. The U.S. only had this shit for like a couple hundred years, and they already fucked it up. Yo, how you fuck this shit up in like 300 years? It's fucked up, yo. And then, you know, Great Britain gonna keep backing them just because America is Great Britain's baby. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking ridiculous. Bro, man, I just wish, you know what I'm saying, yo, peace, love, you know what I'm saying, positive vibes, positive energy, cause we gonna need some help soon. And just to let y'all know, Jesus ain't coming for you. You know what I'm saying? Jesus ain't coming for you. Y'all better learn some goddamn some urban survival techniques. If y'all don't know how to do that, y'all gotta learn how to filter water, distill water, and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You know how to grow some shit from a seed. Learn how to fish, hunt. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said, if you can't live day to day the same way they did 200 years ago, you're fucked. Because there may be a chance where you have to live like it was 200 years ago, motherfucker. That's all it is, motherfuckers just want to live, bro. I just want to eat. I want to have, you know, taste good food and have delicious beverages. You know what I'm saying? And just live my life, raise my family. You know what I'm saying? I don't want all the bullshit, man. But they gonna give us the bullshit because we just pawns. We pawns in their game, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all come to that they. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers is playing with the lives of everybody. And like I said, I don't even feel bad for the people who voted for Trump. You know, it wouldn't even matter, man. If Hillary was in there, whoever, man, it's an agenda. You know what I'm saying? They make these agendas 25, 35, 55 years in advance. They already know what's going to pop off. Alright, so I got a little bit more, some highlights on this shirt. gonna keep working on this for the next couple of days. I'm trying to get this fabric to fold like I want it to. I'm gonna work on this shirt and the pants. After I make my way through this layer, I'll go back and I'll work on the skin tones again. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to put another layer, or maybe 2 more layers of yellow paint on it, because I can still see through that really strong, and it's pissing me off. But yeah, an hour or something. I got 1 more day of work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Oh shit. And tomorrow is the last episode of the Walking Dead. Yo, you my mans. Yo, tomorrow's the fucking last episode of the Walking Dead for the season, yo. Oh shit. And it's gonna jump right into fucking Fear the Walking Dead. The Walking Dead comes on. Then at 10 o'clock, Fear the Walking Dead comes on. Somehow they're going to get Morgan over to the other series, yo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. Got down. Talib Kweli said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. All right. That Morgan stuff weak though. I kind of like Morgan's character, man. He's just broken. His mind is broken.
We continue to follow reaction to the attack by the U.S. and its allies on Syrian chemical weapons facilities.
I've been at work for the past couple days, so I've just been trying to catch a little bit of news in the evening. So I'm definitely gonna listen to somewhere that UN meeting. But yeah, Morgan, like I say, man, I like his character. He was the first person to talk to fucking Rick, you know what I'm saying? Helped him out a lot. That motherfucker's just crazy as fuck, yo. He's just crazy as shit now. But everybody breaks, you know what I'm saying? Everybody breaks. Rick did that shit. Carol did that shit. Everybody. It's the Walking Dead, man. You're gonna lose your fucking mind sooner or later. Sasha, all of them lost their fucking mind. See, hold up. All right, guys, if y'all out of here, but me and Walker about to talk for a minute. But see, I don't know. I think that's just a way to try to get people to watch that show. I don't know, because what if they have more seasons of Fear the Walking Dead planned than, you know, the regular show? Because I think they said the regular show had like 3 more seasons. Probably got like 5 more seasons of Fear. So maybe, you know what I'm saying, if that show has a longer life, well, not a longer lifespan, because shit, this shit been on for goddamn how long? But I guess they might try to cross over one or 2 characters over to that shit, yo, or even kind of merge that shit. But I don't understand really like how, like, the time frame. That's what they got to get for me, is like the time frame. Like, it just seemed like Rick and them been at that shit for like 2 or 3 years. Like, you know, in Showtime, like, man, they been out there for a while. But Fear the Walking Dead, it seemed like that shit just started like at the beginning, yo. But anyway, make sure everything is off. Bluetooth is off. Turn the laptop off. And yeah, guys, so I said I got 1 more day of work tomorrow, Sunday. So Monday will be my first day off, Monday morning. On my days off, I normally stream early in the morning, like before 10 o'clock. I normally be in here. I get up early, get some shit together, and I'll start streaming like 9 or 10 or something. So definitely check me out next time. I'm gonna be working on this dank canvas. I just finished that one, and I got one more to go. The dank series. It's gonna be fire. And the controller. Alright guys, peace.